Assalamu alaikum and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is really a pleasure for me to be here. And first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Tayyib Ikram and Mr. Masood Rahman Azhar actually for inviting me here at COMSATS. And I really feel privileged actually to be here and talking about sustainable urban development, the topic that is very close to my heart actually, and the topic I'm actually working, doing research and having a professional practice from the last nearly 15 to 20 years on a different part of the world. And my presentation, the main focus of my presentation is just for the food for thoughts actually for Pakistan. And for that particular reason, and for this reason, I just pose actually a question: can urban development ever be sustainable? And I will try to give an answer actually by the end of this my presentation. As Dr. Tayyib Ikram mentioned, right now we have a urbanization challenge. In fact, Pakistan is one of the most urbanized countries here in South Asia, where our population is roughly more than 50% of our actually people live in urban areas. And in this map, this is a very interesting map actually that shows the dark color. Dark color is the developed country where this urbanization process happened before us actually, and 80%, nearly 80% of population in developed world live in the cities. And then they make these cities as the engine of economic growth as well. And they become the developed countries because of this urbanization process. And right now there is a big challenge for us. This is that whether we can convert this trend for us as well as a development trend, because as Dr. Tayyib Ikram mentioned, that right now the 80% population is Mumbai in India is living in slums actually, and other countries as well. In Asia, the slums is increasing more than 50%. Actually, even in Pakistani cities as well, people are living in a slum. So we have an opportunity, we have a challenge how to convert this urbanization process in our favor actually. And this is very interesting that this century is the urban century. This is the first time in 2007, this is the history of the mankind actually, that there are more people are living in urban areas as compared to the rural areas. And now this is our actually challenge, how to convert these opportunities in a much more positive way. For example, if I will see some of these UN statistics, Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, Rawalpindi, Multan, Gujarwala, what is their rank in 1975? They are a very low rank in terms of the total population. But in the future, in 2025 actually, that our cities will be on the top 10, top 25 actually in the world in terms of the urban population. So on one hand, I'm very excited to see this trend. On the other hand, I'm very nervous as well, whether we will convert this trend in a positive way or not. And this is, and what is this sustainable urban development really mean is, this is a one book, Peter Newman and Ken Worthy book in 1999, and there was a book launch happened in the White House. In the White House, Vice President Al Gore at that time, and what the Peter Newman and Ken Worthy actually did is they collected the data. They collected the data of all developed world cities and collected the data, and they come up the definition of sustainable urban development. And they mention, although there are a number of indicators, but there is a three major indicators we have to consider. What kind of a housing priority in our cities is, what kind of a transport priorities in our cities, and what kind of economic priorities in our cities as well. So these are the three major indicators, And today I would like to talk about a bit more about housing priorities and transport priorities. And tomorrow I will talk about a bit more in economic priorities. Although this data they collected in developed world, and then later on their recent work actually they collected this data with the developing world as well, with India and China and Vietnam and Thailand as well, and African cities as well. Unfortunately, they don't have enough data from Pakistani cities, so they can include in this very famous kind of a research project. But I will talk about a bit more about this housing priorities, whether we would like to go for suburban development, whether we would like to accommodate the future growth within our existing urban areas as well. And here in terms of the housing priorities, land is the most precious thing in urban areas. That is the main thing in urban areas. And I'm just showing here how the land has been utilized, almost the same population in Los Angeles and Cairo. Sorry for the typo for the Cairo, but you can see is that how the population in Cairo is living, they are utilizing very less land as compared to the Los Angeles, okay? And because the Los Angeles, everybody is living in their own houses, like we dream all the time, we dream actually that kind of a houses as well. But in Cairo, the development was very organic. I don't want to idealize, one city or another city, but the main important point here to mention is that the land, the utilization of a land as well, and the land utilization also related to the infrastructure also as well. It's related to the pollution, it's related to the transport priorities as well. And that's why there is a concept come up about the edge city and edgeless city, that whether there is any boundaries of these cities as well. And Los Angeles was the first one who drove all these kind of ideas, and then they come up with the edgeless cities as well. And if we will convert these ideas into our context as well, it's very much about the greenfield development, that the future urban growth will be happen into the outskirts of our cities, outskirts like in terms of the new suburban development. And here I can see, for example, right now in our context, D17 and D18 and all these things, is totally development is happening. We are going on that way, where there is a new town development near the motorways, or Islamabad, or the Zulafkarabad. There's a lot of emphasis on a new town development, and especially with the CPAC, actually there's a lot of ideas is going on. The third thing is about the gated communities, whether we really want to close off the street, building gates, fences, walls, and coming up with the ideal communities as well. So these kind of a things is the suburban development, whether we really want to this kind of a development. That is the Los Angeles actually adopted that one. And on the other hand, the sustainable development or a low carbon development is entirely very, very different. This is the future growth will be happen on the existing suburb, is within the existing town center, on the public transport routes actually, with more on a vertical development, with more about the higher density residential units, or a townhouses, or a apartment blocks as well. And what I'm trying to say here is this is totally a different lifestyle. It's a totally a different way of a living in our cities as well, especially if we want to make the cities with more inclusive. And of course, this low carbon development is not easy. It's not a quick fix as well. It's a very, very different scales as well. Its scale is on a building scale. Its scale is about the lots, about the blocks, about the neighborhood, about the district or a suburb, about the corridor, about the entire city, about the region as well. These ideas are not just we cannot actually implement within our next few years. I'm talking about really next 20 to 40 years kind of a thing, that we have to think about where we really want to actually accommodate our future growth, where we really want to provide the housing for our future population. And this is the different scale for the low carbon development as well. And here I'm just giving you an example. In Auckland, nearly almost the same size of Islamabad as well. We also followed this Los Angeles pattern as well. In New Zealand, is a very small country, just a 4.5 million population. We can afford a farmhouse for everybody actually. We can afford, we have a land, we have a beauty, we have a landscape, and we can afford for all farmhouse for everybody. But now we decided that this is not the way. We have a responsibility. We have a responsibility not only for our own country, we have a responsibility for the whole world as well. So we have to change the lifestyle. This farmhouse is not affordable. This one canal or two canal houses is not affordable for the rest of the world as well. So here these dots actually, this is the map of Auckland. And here these are the dots where the future urban growth in Auckland will happen. This is the existing area in Auckland where we are providing houses for our future growth as well, for our future population as well. And of course, it's a different sizes, different plots, because you have to play with the existing built environment as well. So the sustainability is the main you can say the vision for this Auckland future growth as well. And again, this is the image from Melbourne. The same thing is the problem in Australia as well. Australia is a very big continent. Again, the population is not that much like in Pakistan or in China. And we can, in Australia again, they can afford to have a farmhouse for everybody in Australia as well. But then they decided, no, actually we have to move on. We have a responsibility for this actually globe as well. So here, this is a very typical thing in Melbourne, where they are moving with more on apartment style. About this is for these kind of a lifestyle as well. And just want to say actually, because they have never been in experience of apartment style housing. So people in Australia, people in New Zealand were very scared. They really don't want to see the Mexico City. They really don't want to build the Hong Kong and Shanghai in their own country as well. But at the same time, when their environmental values actually is coming up, look, we have a responsibility that we have to utilize this, the land, the precious land, and the water resources in our country very wisely. Then we have to change the lifestyle as well. So here again, this is the vision in Melbourne, where they are moving towards the existing suburbs, and they are moving in a different type of a housing and lifestyle as well. And as I mentioned, that there is people are scared about the moving these things in apartment style, because of course it's not very easy to sell, you can say, the apartments are a townhouses in that country. So because in the past, the high density was linked with the crime, high density was linked with the bad lifestyle. It was linked in fact with more air pollution and the noise pollution as well. So at the central government level in New Zealand, they come up with a New Zealand urban design protocol that we have to craft actually in our existing built environment in such a way that it will provide an exciting lifestyle. The new building blocks should be contextually designed, that have a special character as well, that have our building should be on a material that is environmentally sensitive, and it's a bit more collaborative process rather than on very top-down kind of a design process as well. And here, I mean, the planning has totally changed with all this vision. You can say, so here in a urban planning, in environmental planning, what is, we are developing a maps actually. This is again the Auckland maps. And what is we are developing maps is about the, what is we call a natural area, or a ecological sensitive areas are a heritage landscape, because I grew up here and I always actually aspired to see the Margala Hill and then Hassan Abdal Hill. That is like a heritage landscape, and every year when I came back and I can see that we are losing that kind of a heritage landscape as well. So you can see that the main focus is that we have to preserve this ecological area, but at the same time provide a better lifestyle, but different lifestyle for our future population in Auckland as well. And for that thing, we are developing a lot of indicators in terms of the how to make it in terms of the zero waste as well, how to make this building green, existing area, how to come up with energy and renewable energy. And I'm very proud to be, saying this thing, that in New Zealand, we are generating 80% of energy from renewable energy. Actually, we are not paying loud. We are just only, it's a windmill. It's a different form of a renewable energy, and we are converting on that thing. For example, at Massey University, we have a vision that we will make our campus carbon neutral by 2020 as well. That in terms of the built environment, in terms of the transport environment as well. And these kind of indicator and targets are there in a different organization. These targets are there in terms of the whole city as well. And of course, we are building the capacity. Of course, the funding is there. Of course, the facilities they are providing a bit more priority to implement these ideas together as well. And so these are some of these practices. Just I want to say that that these are the practices we are trying to adopt for that kind of a dense lifestyle kind of a thing as well. Again, water is not a problem in New Zealand. It's a problem in Australia. Definitely it's a problem in Australia. But again, at the same time, this is our high priority to how to collect this stormwater, actually, how to design our urban areas in such a way that we will get the maximum actually recharging as well, about in terms of the soil, in terms of the water as well. So these are a very small details actually in our built environment we are providing. That is a stormwater sensitive design that's really actually helpful for our future generation as well. Again, in a high density area, the one thing is a very important issue is about the noise actually. Is for the better quality of a life, and then controlling the noise is very important. And here actually there is a continuously work is going on how to design the building in such a way that we will get a minimum level of a noise as well. But at the same time, this built environment, there's a lot of other projects is going on, how to bring the birds back actually in our urban areas, how to bring different species in our urban areas as well. So these are these things. Just want to say at the same time, high quality landscaping. Why I mentioned earlier as well that the land is the most precious thing in urban areas. We really want to utilize each inches of a land in our urban areas. And right now there's a big movement is going on about the community gardens, that every year we will produce our foods from within our urban areas as well. In campus actually, we have a lot of community gardens where the students are growing food as well. And this is again our target by 2020 in campus canteen, everything will be produced by within the campus as well. At the same time, we are trying to put it about the fruit trees as well, that because the main aim is that within our city actually we will get the fruit within our city as well. So rather than other trees, we are putting the fruit trees in the cities. So high quality landscaping, high quality food environment is an important concept for the future as well. So here, just want to say these are a very blank urban areas that is going down, and these are converting with more people-centered spaces where people can walk, people can shop actually, and then there is a bit more about the different apartment style living as well. So people can live and work on the same places as well. Actually, there's a bit more human environment rather than we will spend our whole time within this car environment just to go there for the supermarket. And this is, again, each site is very different. Each site is very different, and that need a very different solution. We cannot copy, cut, and paste actually from one area to the other areas as well. So how to build the community and how to improve the social capital, how to work together is, and how to attract the private investment on this area as well. And private sector is very smart guys actually. They generally won't invest unless they will know that they can get a profit as well. And here, this is the policies. Here, this is the vision actually that also help for the smart private sector to come up and to invest on these areas as well. This is the area. This is just I'm telling here. This is Melbourne. And Melbourne Dockland photos I took a couple of years ago as well, and that is the area which is from Melbourne perspective, it's a very much like a slums area, and now this total area have transformed in a modern living as well. Here just want to mention about that, what is these ideas relevance to our context. This is the urban development in Islamabad. This is the 1960 master plan of Islamabad as well, and you can see about the blue area. You can see at that time that Rawalpindi was the part of the Islamabad master plan as well. So what is the key idea in Islamabad at that time, and still we are following very religiously that master plan as well, that whenever we have a population growth, we will add another sector, we will extend another road as well. So that was the main key idea in Islamabad. So you can see all these arrows are going on a one direction as well. So what is the idea behind it? That we have a unlimited land, we have a unlimited water resources, we have a unlimited money for the infrastructure as well. So we will grow as much as we can. But now after 50 years, after 55 years, now there is a clear thing that we don't have enough resources. We don't have an unlimited environment and water resources. We cannot actually implement on this idea to add another sector all the time as well. So there was a time when Islamabad was called an example of a sustainable city, and now I'm presenting these kind of ideas overseas that this is Islamabad is a great example of an unsustainable city as well actually. And so these are the same ideas we followed in Islamabad. Idea was so influential that we followed this thing in Rawalpindi as well. We followed this thing in Lahore as well. So here in Lahore master plan, if you will see in 1960s master plan, 1980, 2000, and here again the big map for the master plan of Lahore for 2035. Again the same idea that we will grow on other places, on green areas as well. So Lahore will expand to the Raiwan, to Sheikhupura as well. So we will continuously grow on a horizontal level on outskirts of the city. Just want to say this is not a sustainable. This is very hard to manage. We don't have enough environmental resources. We don't have enough economic resources to keep these ideas actually together as well. So here, this is just for food for thought, whether we really want to go for suburbanization or a suburban development, or whether we really want a re-urbanization as well. So this is the idea I really want to give you just for food for thought. And the second thing is about the transport priorities. again, the transport priorities is whether we really want to put money on a road infrastructure or whether we really want to put money on public transport infrastructure. So we have to think about. I just want to say that when this is a traditional transport planning and engineering work, that we have to give high priority to the car or motorized vehicles as well, and low priorities to people or pedestrian or walking and cycling. What is the sustainable transport idea is that we have to give high priority to the people. We have to give a high priority to the cyclists and public transport as compared to the motorized vehicles and their infrastructure as well. Maybe some of Pakistan people will be proud of these kind of intersection in Islamabad, but I will tell you, when I'm presenting this thing in overseas, people are really shocked to see this picture. People think that, okay, you are not considering environment, you are not considering people actually in your cities as well. So these are the heavy infrastructure are in Islamabad. That is, I just want to say that only our car ownership rate is very, very low as compared to the developed countries as well. In New Zealand, we have a 700 car per 1,000 people. Pakistan have just 6 cars per 1,000 people. We don't have that infrastructure. We don't have that kind of intersection here like Faizabad and 0 Point as well, because our vision is very different. Our vision is a collective vision. Our vision is about the environmental vision as well. And so we followed this path, actually not in Islamabad, we followed this path in Lahore as well, whether it's a Lahore ring road, whether it's underpasses, whether it's flyovers as well. We followed this path in road investment in Karachi as well about this thing. So we really need to put some thoughts actually. And here, this is a famous quote that the expanding roadway to accommodate traffic is a bit like combating obesity by buying larger pants and larger pants all the time. We don't have an unlimited thing. So basically, we have to exercise us rather than buying the larger pants. And here, Professor Buchik Khan one time mentioned in his book that the congestion is not the fundamental problem of transportation. Congestion is the consequences of an inappropriate policy, inadequate planning, and mismatched investment. And you can see the congestion in Pakistan is very high as compared to the data, as compared to the number of people that own the cars or motorbikes as well. So we have to think about whether we really want to go ahead on this path or whether we want to reverse that path or having a different kind of a path as well. Here, one of the most livable cities, Vancouver in Canada, that is quite interesting that Vancouver is put this vision is the problem of an insufficient congestion. Their aim is to increase the congestion rather than decrease the congestion, because they said the congestion is usually considered an evil. However, allowing congestion to deteriorate for the single occupant vehicle is a practical method of promoting public transport. So their aim is every year to increase the congestion. So people will leave their car, people will use the public transport, people will walk and the bike as well. So you can see the people, the cities are changing. They are coming quite a radical ideas as well. This is again very interesting example in Seoul, and I would definitely recommend everybody actually if they will get an opportunity to go to the Seoul as well, because the last year I went there and it was a fascinating project. This is an 8 lanes highway in their CBD area, but their mayor said that no, I really don't want to see this highway. I want to basically bringing this river, or it's a channel, it's a stream actually, to bring this stream that is basically all these highways was built on the natural environment or on a low socioeconomic area, and he in fact demolished this highway. It's a very, very radical kind of a solution actually. because here every traffic engineer or a planner are telling us because of the congestion we have to add another highway as well. And he said no, when there is no supply then there is no demand. And he converted this thing into a bit more stream as well. And last year I get an opportunity. I spent 3 days on this area. Just want to, for myself, I want to observe as well. Where is all the traffic gone? Where is the economic opportunity happen? Where is the sustainability? And these kind of a thing actually, they bring the people back. They bring this environment back into the city center. It was a very radical idea. It is not really possible in many countries, but you can imagine the people are thinking actually it's a great idea to bring the sustainability in their planning as well. Again, I don't know whether you guys have seen this one. It's a very famous image as well, that you can see that we can transform. These are the 35, 40 people. If we will provide 40 cars to these people, our city will be very different. If we will just put these people into a bus or a walking environment, it's a very, very different in terms of the energy consumption, in terms of the time, in terms of the air pollution level as well, in terms of the congestion as well. So we have to think how to utilize the land in our urban areas much more wisely as well. Again, how far can I travel 1 ton of a carbon dioxide? And you can see the walking, cycling and public transport is the most sustainable, way that we have to go ahead. And this is when we are talking about these ideas, it's a very different way. I'm sure some students are sitting here. I really need their attention, because then we really need a different way actually. For walking, footpath is not enough actually. Footpath is not enough, because footpath alongside the road is basically we are giving the same level, same kind of a length of a journey like we are providing to the car actually. So if we want to encourage the walking, we have to provide the environment that encourage walking as well. We have to provide the shortcut. We have to provide the built environment that encourage, that will be so attractive for the walking as well. And so the whole, actually we did these things in our campuses. We did these things in our cities, in our suburbs, and it's a continuous process. It won't finish overnight as well, but we have to provide these activities. And here just want to say, especially these some photos are from Aix-en province and Marseille in southern France as well, and one photo is in Brisbane. The both time when I took a photo, the temperature was 40 and 42 in these cities as well. And the interesting thing is, what they said, the weather is an opportunity. Weather is not a constraint. These photos are at 2 p.m. and at that time there are many more people are walking in the city as compared to they are living in their houses as well at the temperature of 40 and 42. Why? Because they provided the green infrastructure in their cities that encourage people to go out to do for shopping. And I know when in my childhood there was many cities around the world in Pakistan where we used to say the word "Thandi Sadak," where everybody is so nice to be there. Okay, so weather is an opportunity for designing a building and infrastructure rather than the constraint as well. So we have to go ahead with more interesting design for our built environment. We have to convert our blank walls in terms of the history or in terms of some storytelling to recognize the people that have contributed in their built environment as well. And here, these are the example here in Wellington and Auckland in New Zealand as well, where our aim is actually to collect each and every drop of a water in a rainfall, and at the same time provide the opportunity for people to walk as well, and provide the shortcut for the walking trips rather than providing the footpath for the walking trips as well. So here some of these walking, because the walking is the most sustainable, but at the same time the cycling, we are working in New Zealand and Australia for cycling because the continental Europe is very successful. Continental Europe, in Denmark, in Netherlands, in Germany, in France, actually they converted, they are rich people. They are rich people, everybody owns a car. Their car ownership is 600 cars per 1,000 population, but the 35% of their trips are on cycling. And believe me, the winter in Europe is very cold, but still everybody is cycling, and the women and men all together as well. And here in Copenhagen, they have one of the most livable city. Their aim is to convert the city. Actually, the 50% of their total trips will be on the cycling as well. We invited the people from Norway, actually in New Zealand, to talk about public transport. Norway is very rich oil resource country, and they said we would like, everybody will, developing country would use the cars and we will provide oil to them. But at the same time, for our own country, in fact, we are encouraging the public transport, walking and cycling rather than the cars. So we have to understand that we really need to change the lifestyle as well. And here the Copenhagen is our good example. And right now there is a cycling revolution in almost in all developed countries, where even the ministers, even all the CEO actually coming to their offices on the cycling. Of course, there is infrastructure is there, the policies is there, and so healthy lifestyle is really, really important. And especially for the young people, I think this is a very good opportunity to start actually to explore these mode of a transport for sustainable transport reasons as well. Again, these are the images I took from the Amsterdam, and you can imagine we are building a car parking plaza, and they are building cycling plazas actually here as well. So cycling is much more efficient, it's a much more economically feasible and healthy as well for the people in Europe. And we are far behind in New Zealand actually for this cycling, and we are trying very hard to catch up these things as well. And I think the one thing I just want to say that, I mean, in the last couple of years, we get an opportunity accidentally rather than very, you can say, properly planned as well, that we have some political will, we have an investment happen in our public transport. I just want to say this is the first time in the history of Pakistan in 70 years that there was an investment in public transport. But this is a paper published in London School of Economics recently. Regardless of these one or two projects, even in Islamabad, the main mode of a transport, we have to go with all these, substandard mode of a public transport as well. So this is the area, these are the blank area. You can see that the people don't have an access to the transport. People don't have an access to public transport, and even they have an access, that access is not really, you can say, the standard access. And my own PhD student is working on gender and transport in Islamabad, and one thing that come up very interesting from that PhD as well, that it's not the poor woman, it's not the poor woman that is discriminated in transport, it's an educated woman as well. It's a woman that is a professional woman, the woman that have a 16 years education as well. If she can't afford to have a car, then our city is not providing a transport that is suitable for her as well. So there is a clear link with the density and public transport use. If we will increase our housing within existing urban area, then we can increase the percentage of the public transport as well. We have a vision of a Houston, of a Los Angeles. We have a vision of a Singapore and Hong Kong as well. whether we would go for that kind of a living, that kind of a work style, or whether we would like to explore our existing urban area with the vertical development, with the high density area, and to make our city more sustainable as well. And especially this is another thing that the economy is changing. Tomorrow I will talk a little bit more. It's about the information age. Right now, it's not the industrialization. It's not that we have to go far away from the industry and the smoke of the industry. Our jobs is changing. So what is I'm saying here at this moment, that we really need a BRT corridor redevelopment plan. We have to think about how our future urban areas, future population will live in existing urban areas. Actually, we have to think very, very smartly, because for example, in New Zealand, when we are investing on public transport, we said that our public transport should make money as well. Okay, how to make money? Okay, this is it's not a rocket science, because if we are investing on one project, how to make money actually. So if we can link with this land use development, if we can link with the future growth development, I think that is an opportunity that our these projects can make money, and where the future population will live, where we can achieve the sustainability as well. So the land use policy and regulation in Lahore should support BRT-based high-density transit-oriented development for growth around major station and corridor, as happened in Curitiba in Brazil as well. So again, when there are more people will live on these corridors, then there will be a much more feasible. We will get more patronage in these actually public transport, and that would become a bit more successful. It will increase the number of homes. We all know we're having a shortage in terms of the housing provision as well. But the problem is that our vision right now is housing mean 5 marla, 10 marla and 1 canal houses. Houses are very different actually. This is a very expensive solution. We really need a very different type of a housing with a spending of a less space as well. Okay, so we need a housing choices where people will live even in single houses, but people live in a town houses, people will live in apartment style as well, and people will live in duplexes as well. So we really need these things, and here especially I can see that, for example, again my university, my town in Palmerston North in New Zealand is a university town. So the main actually housing provision right now policy of the town is that students are living here. So how to provide a single bedroom houses or apartment actually for the students as well, where they can live as well. So it will reduce the urban sprawl. It will really protect actually our soil as well for the food basket. Especially in Lahore, all this urban sprawl is happening on a very rich soil. That is a food basket of Pakistan as well. And I think we have to protect these soil. We have to protect our water resources as well. And I'm not just want to say just few more slides. I'm not saying anything new actually. We are very lucky in that sense. This guy is a Peter Geddes. This is a Scottish ecologist and urban planner. Actually, he came here in India and in Lahore, and 1917 he wrote a book on Lahore as well. Actually, and he was fighting at that time with the British administration that how to make Lahore sustainable. You can imagine, this is 100 years ago. I get an opportunity to read his book. I get an opportunity to spend time in British Library in London to see his work about the Lahore, and it was a really fascinating work actually. What is he was suggesting that in Lahore we have to do the organic approach to city planning. We have to develop a city planning that is harmonious with the people, their culture and the environment as well. So the next generation of this Lahore will go to the next level and the third level. And right now, after 100 years, and after getting the sustainability concept, actually Peter Geddes' work get really attention as well. So here you can see one of these, faculty member from Johns Hopkins University. She did work about Geddes in India, town planning, plant sciences, and cooperative evolution. So very recently, she actually published an article, but it's about the Indian cities. It's not about the Lahore, but his work on Lahore is very fascinating. So somebody here 100 years ago was preaching this kind of ideas to the British administration at that time, colonial government as well, and of course colonial government don't like him, and so then he joined academia, but he is a very respected guy as well. So what is I'm saying here, that we have an opportunity. Last year, United Nations actually approved the Sustainable Development Goals as well. And there's a goal number 11 is about the sustainable cities and the communities as well. How to make cities inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable for the next 2030 as well. So right now, the time is perfect. The international environment is perfect. Funding is there as well. Ideas are there as well. We have a Peter Geddes' work. We have a recent best practice example as well. But of course, we have to craft our own solution. We cannot cut and paste things. We have to put more thought on our own existing built environment. Our cities develop on historical reasons as well. We have to put some thought. Our cultural values are very different. We have to put that thoughts as well. Our environment is very different. We have to put some thoughts as well. But we have to come up these kind of a solution that is suitable for our own city. So in my first slide, actually I put that can urban development ever be sustainable? And just want to say that under a standard engineering based urban development approach, probably not actually. If we will continue this horizontal development, if we will continue practice on the same building and material, maybe probably not. But under a people and ecosystem centered and low carbon engineering, low carbon planning, low carbon management approach, yes, probably yes. Then our future is bright. Then we can develop, then we can convert this urbanization process in favor for Pakistan. Otherwise it would be very difficult as well. And as initially mentioned by Dr. Munir, I put some thoughts here in my book as well. But and because this is not only that we have to build these kind of a Bible. Basically, the interesting thing is that we have to work in real ground. There are institutions, they have their own capacity as well. There's the funding, there's the regulation, there's the zoning regulations as well. So all this setup was happened with the old mindset. We have to work through, we have to change these kind of things as well. But again, this is the main thing, that we really need interdisciplinary thinking in urban development. We really need a people-centered thinking. We really need a thinking where low carbon environmental thinking should be there. It is not just one discipline that can go ahead with urban development. It's a different discipline. Actually, they have to work together to get the sustainable development solution for Pakistan. Thank you very much for listening.
Talk. It must have created so many questions in the mind of the listeners. I'll be able to give 10 minutes to the questions. Questions, please. On this side.
Thank you, Dr. Imran, for a good presentation. My question is, do you think security is the main reason for the delay in better housing? As we have a problem like we cut the trees, and even the beautiful houses are what, and even the cycling is unsafe on the roads, and there are so many things. So do you think security is the main reason for better housing and for better transportation?
It's a very important issue. It's not a new, actually. It's a new in case of Pakistan, but it's not very new in terms of the world as well. And because there is a lot of crimes in urban areas, especially in a very high density environment as well. So the important question is how to deal this security issue, actually. This is the whole important point right now. And in Sustainable Development Goals, they also mention about the peace in the cities as well. And if we will make the cities inclusive, if we will make the cities people-centered cities, and if we will make cities environmentally sensitive as well, it's much more actually we can improve the urban security as compared to we will go ahead with the traditional solutions of a wall and CCTV cameras and the armed forces, that kind of a thing as well. So security is a big issue, not only in Pakistan, but right now in Paris, in New York, in London, and all these development projects. For example, even in New Zealand, we are very safe from that environment, but we have to justify, even for the public transport investment as well, how we can make this investment and project safe as well, from the security perspective as well. So I think this is the very holistic way, and this is the thing actually how to make our cities a bit more safe. Okay, so just want to say, there is a two solution for that. We will cut the trees, we will put it more CCTV cameras and security people in our cities. And the other way is we will empower the people. We will make the city more inclusive and participatory, so the people of that city actually own that city and provide the security. And I think I'm basically in favor of the second one, where inclusive cities and participatory way of doing things can help to get the security in terms of the long-term solution rather than the short-term kind of thing. Thank you.
Question? Yes, please.
Knowledge sharing regarding the developed countries. My question is, so can we change the existing infrastructure and natural or cultural heritage of our different cities like Lahore, Multan, or Karachi, as those are congested cities? And if we change the existing infrastructure, so that can hurt our cultural heritages and the old buildings, especially, which are the symbols of that time.
Look, just want to say this cultural history and cultural heritage, these buildings are also very close to my heart, because this is also part of this sustainability as well. The interesting thing is, for example, right now there is a whole, I'm writing a chapter on this, especially on orange train right now, and that kind of a controversy about the Chuburji and these, the orange train. In my perspective, I want to keep this Chuburji and Shalimar Bagh as well, and I want to build this orange train as well, because for sustainability reason. Here there is a problem that we are not creative enough actually to keep both things together. Okay, so the both thing is very, very important. And so here this is the important thing is in planning and engineering, that we have to go for the next 21st century infrastructure as well, but at the same time we have to keep our heritage buildings as well. So the level of a creativity and innovation is lacking in this kind of a situation. So that is really, really important. And of course, we should be proud of our organic structure, built environment, that is in Lahore or in Multan as well. It was not happen overnight. It's a centuries of urban development. We have to keep it. But at the same time, we have to think how we can utilize this area in such a way where they can provide, you can say that housing and offices for that, you can say, for the 21st century. Just want to give you an example that right now in developed countries, and especially in Europe, because the European inner core is very historical as compared to US, Australia, New Zealand thing, and they did quite a good job. And the inner core is very expensive to live. All the best multinational companies and the government offices are in inner core, and they are very proud. People are very proud if their address come up with like a Raja Bazaar or a Mochi Gate. They are very proud that I'm from Mochi Gate, and they feel very ashamed actually if their address come up from like our suburban development kind of a thing as well. So, but they worked actually collectively and creatively how to make this Raja Bazaar or a Mochi Gate in such a nice area that the people would love to go there, people would love to work there, people would love to buy the property there. And here, this is a missing link here in Pakistan at this stage.
Any other question? There is a question.
That do you see that there is some difference in code in developed and developing countries in construction laws? Do you see that what we should do that we can compare with those developed countries in context of there should be some introduction of the new laws in this context?
Areas and our cities are changing very rapidly actually. Technology is changing very rapidly. So in developed countries, they are working collaboratively and very efficiently to change the rules, regulation and legislations actually, to accommodate the new thoughts, new technologies, new discipline, new focus in their existing urban areas. We have this problem actually. Right now. Pakistan is still actually working on 1894 Land Acquisition Act. That is the British have established 1894. We still have a zoning regulations. I mean, Anwar Chaudhry Sahib is here. I mean, he knows much better than me about in terms of the Pakistan scenario. But from 1960s and 1980s, we are still following these kind of regulations religiously actually. So there's that innovation in terms of rules, regulation and working style of the government, and the private sector is lacking here. And of course, I mean, the academia and all that kind of linkages is very important. So this is a missing link again here as well, that we have to change our rules and regulations and according to the 21st century challenges and opportunities as well. And right now we are lagging behind on this area.
Sir, I have a question, sir. Please. Thank you, sir. Sir, my name is Hamdan Khan. I am from COMSATS, Islamabad, sir. I am CPD first semester student. I am not specialist like you, but you have criticized the Islamabad exchanges and underpasses. Dubai is, sir, one of the most developed country in the world, city of UAE. They are also using interchanges and underpasses in their urban development. Okay, sir. The next question which I am asking about, sir, you have criticized Peshawar Mass Transit, Lahore Orange Metro. Okay, sir. Tehran Metro, most metro sky of Russia, came down high-speed train management system, and you have also talked about the Vancouver. Vancouver is also, they are also using metro system. So, sir, why you are going to eradicate the metro system from our highways and motorways, etc.? Thank you, sir.
I just want to clarify any metro investment in Pakistan. Actually, I think this is a very good in terms of a policy kind of a thing, policy investment in Pakistani cities, whether it's in Peshawar, in Lahore, in Karachi. I'm very supportive on metro. I have a reservation in terms of their design, heavy infrastructure, their operational model, their financial viability. I have that kind of a reservation, and I think we can do much better as compared to what we did actually. And so there's no doubt. Actually, I'm very supportive of metro system, and because that is a part of this sustainable transport and 21st century collective transport. Yes, I'm very, very critical on investment on flyovers, underpasses, and flyovers, underpasses, and these ring roads and these kind of intersections as well, because this is like a 1950s and 60s solution, American solution, that mean that at that time they dreamed that every person in this world will get a one car actually, and that dream was basically based on the belief system that we have a unlimited oil resources, we have an unlimited environment and air and all that thing. So we have to provide the cars for everybody. And right now, it is very clear that we can't provide cars for everybody in this world, because there is a much more destruction. We really need another 2 planets as well actually, if we want to provide the one car and one house for everybody in this world. So this is a 20th century solution, so I'm very critical in my book and I'm in my writing, but I'm very supportive of a metro system in Pakistan or any other part of the world. Thank you.